For the 18 teams that are done, Rodney, this week has consisted of the end-of-season press conference, some on Monday, some on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And on Thursday, it was the Falcons GM Terry Fontenot addressing the media, and obviously one of the big topics, what is the future of the guy to whom they gave $90 million fully guaranteed in March, plus another $10 million that becomes fully guaranteed in just a few weeks? Here's Terry Fontenot on the future of former starting quarterback Kirk Cousins.
You know, we gave Kirk Cousins 2 years guaranteed. So when you do that, you expect to get high-level quarterback play for 2 seasons. We understand that didn't happen. Nobody was happy to make the switch at that time, and we wanted to, again, to get that high-level quarterback play for 2 seasons. So now what happens is we had to accelerate that plan and go to Mike earlier. And yet the allocation at the quarterback position, the cap allocation is we're 8th in the league. That's what we had planned for where Kirk is the starter. He's not the starter anymore, but we're very comfortable moving forward with him as a backup. He's handled himself extremely well through the entire process from start to finish, from when he came in the building. And, you know, in these adverse situations, that's when you show your true character. Kirk's a great man, and he's been great support for Mike, a great teammate, great support for everybody in the building. So we're very comfortable moving forward with him as the backup.
So, Rodney, here's the financial situation for the Falcons. $62.5 million were paid to Cousins for 2024. $27.5 million fully guaranteed is owed to him for 25, and there's another $10 million that becomes fully guaranteed in 26. That vests in March. There was a report several weeks ago from ESPN that people around the league are expecting that the Falcons will cut him before that $10 million kicks in. Then he basically becomes Russell Wilson. He can go anywhere he wants for minimum salary. The Falcons pay the difference, and off we go. I don't know what the Falcons are going to do. It's going to be hard to pull off a trade because you have no trade clause.
Why do you cut him? Why would you cut him? Why wouldn't you just keep him? He just talked about him being. We know Kurt. We know Kurt. I've been around Kurt, and I know that he's not a demanding personality. I mean, he's a soft-spoken guy, very humble guy, very team-oriented guy. So with all that being said, Mike, why wouldn't Terry Fontenot and the Falcons just keep Kirk Cousins? Because you don't know what's going to happen with this young quarterback. He can get hurt. He can twist his ankle. He could be out 4 to 6 weeks. Then, therefore, you have all that extra time to allow Kirk to kind of, rehab his leg and just continue to be part of the team. But I don't know if I would cut Kirk Cousins based off of a $10 million bonus that triggers. It's $10 million.
Well, but that's the question. Do they want to throw good money after bad? Do they want to make that extra $10 million investment in 2026 to have him around as a backup at $27.5 million for 2025? This is something that I think people higher in the organization than Terry Fontenot have to figure out. Ultimately, the owner, is he fine with the $62.5 that's already gone, $27.5 that will be gone? Do we throw another $10 million onto the pile? And
what's the difference?
Well, it's $10 million. I know for some,
and it's nothing.
$10 million isn't that much money.
Mike, zip it for 1 second. It's nothing to the owners. How many owners have we seen pay 2, 3, 4 former head coaches? They're still paying those guys. $10 million is nothing. It's just they don't want to pay a guy $37 million to be a backup. That's what it is. And Kirk, like I said, I don't think his presence behind Michael Penix is intimidating, anything like that. If anything, I think Kirk will help the young guy. So if it's coming down to extra $10 million, do I pay a good guy yes, I'm paying Kirk that extra $10 million. I'm not going to just cut him and say, okay, take the $27 million and leave because I don't want to pay you an extra $10 million. I think that's pretty ridiculous.
I can't argue with you on the fact that $10 million is nothing to owners, because I sat in this spot yesterday as Chris Sims and I discussed the fact that the Bill Belichick $10 million buyout at North Carolina is nothing to anyone that wants to hire Bill Belichick. And despite whatever he says or doesn't say, or Mike Lombardi says and doesn't say, I'm committed to North Carolina. Well, why the hell do you have a $10 million buyout that basically is pocket change for these owners, right? Actions speak louder than words, Rodney. And the action that Bill Belichick engaged in was negotiating a $10 million buyout that drops to $1 million on June 1st of this year. So you're right, $10 million is nothing. Now, the other side of it is Cousins. And I reported, the Saturday game we had, Texans-Chiefs back in December, right before Christmas. The Cousins are going to take a full month away from football. No football, nothing for a month, and then figure out what he wants to do. Now, retirement would be not advised because you're getting $27.5 million this year from the Falcons. But do you want a fresh start? Do you want to be traded? I think the Falcons would love to be able to trade this contract. The problem is a new team is going to expect them to pay some of it. $27.5 million for a guy that we're not sure is ever going to be the guy he used to be. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But Cousins has that no-trade clause. If Cousins sees an opportunity to play somewhere, maybe he waives that no-trade clause as part of a deal that allows him to leave Atlanta. But then his wife's from Atlanta. They picked Atlanta. They're happy in Atlanta. Hey, all he has to do is sit back and fold his arms and say, I'm not waiving my no-trade clause. You figure out what you want to do. If you want me to stay, tell me when it's time to show up for work.
The dude has made over $300 million. And when we were at the game, in Washington, he walked up to me and Coach Dungy, and he said, Rodney, you remember when we played golf at River Club? I live here now in Atlanta. We bought a house, and Atlanta's I said, okay, Kurt, in the offseason, we got to get together. So he's going to be in Atlanta. And I'm sure he doesn't want to be playing somewhere in Carolina or in LA somewhere if he can be in Atlanta. So to me, money's not the issue with Kurt. Kurt's made over $300 million in his career, I think it is. I mean, the guy has plenty of money. That's the last thing that he's worried about. I just think it's the right situation. And once again, with the quarterbacks, we've seen with all the injuries and all the inconsistent plays, sometimes you need two quarterbacks, and I'm keeping Kirk Cousins.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.